Drop, stitch, magic loop, slips of pearl, slips of knit, twisted cord, wrap and turn, pick up and knit.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Joey's Scarf. This is a knitting and crocheting podcast. My name is Linda, and this is episode 30 of Joey's Scarf. Today is Monday, October 5th, and I'm coming to you from Barnegat, New Jersey. And that is along the Jersey Shore on the other side of the bridge from Long Beach Island. That's the beach we would go to. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Linda Grace, and that's Linda with a Y. So today, of course, I have some finished objects to show you. I have some works in progress, even though I may have mentioned at some point or another that I was going to stick to one project until I finished it before I started another. Oh well, rules are meant to be broken, especially rules that I make for myself. Yes, I have some works in progress. Last episode we had a little contest, and I'm going to name I randomly picked a winner, and I'll tell you who that was a little later on in the episode. I also am going to be doing a little fun project for my Ravelry group, which is Joey's Scarf on Ravelry, and I hope that I get some participants. It's going to be a little different than what we're normally used to doing in our Ravelry group, so stay tuned for that too. And today it's very overcast, and actually it's raining. This is the first day in quite a while that we've had gloomy weather. We've had such spectacular weather here. Bluest of blue skies. The temperature just had a little bit of a chill in the air. You could almost get away though with walking around without a jacket. Yeah, so today it's okay. It's okay that it's raining. It gives me some time to do this and to talk to you. So hang on and I'll get my first finished object. Okay, my first finished object is something that I'm not going to be able to show you the whole thing all at once because it's an Afghan. I don't know if it was my previous episode, but I had started a sweater. It was called my Beginner Raglan Sweater. And I completed the whole thing. I was not happy with the way it came out. It was really bugging me. So I think it was last episode I showed me unraveling the sweater because I just wasn't happy with it. So I decided to repurpose the sweater yarn, and I made an Afghan instead. So the white or off-white here is what was the sweater, and naturally I didn't have enough to make the Afghan, but so I had to go out and buy some more yarn, but that's okay. So the green is what I went out and bought, and I gotta get, hold on, I'll get the, okay, I think I'm so prepared all the time, and then I get frazzled because I don't have what I'm looking for. But anyway, I was looking for the label for the yarn that I made this blanket out of. I'm going to put a little video probably somewhere in here to show you a better feel for how big the blanket is, because I can't really show you the whole thing here. But it's crocheted, it's very heavy, very cushy, and it's just half double crochet all the way across, back and forth, back and forth. But I just love the green and white together. Yeah, so this is my sweater, which was my sweater, and now it's an Afghan that I can curl up under. The yarn that I used, the cream color here, this one, is Big Twist, and it's a Joann's fabric yarn. That's the label. I think I used about 3 or 4 skeins, maybe 4 of the white. And then the green, which I absolutely love the green, is it's Lion Brand Wool Ease, thick and quick. And this color is Rizada. Whatever that. No, it's called Kale. I'm saying it in a different language. Okay. The color is Kale in English. It's, let's see, it is 77% acrylic and 20% wool and 3% of some other fiber. That's what the label says. But, and I used 3 skeins of that to make this. And this, because the yarn is thick, and I think I used a size M crochet hook on this one. Yeah, I finished it very quickly. Yeah, so that's my first finished object, and I love it. So while I was in the blanket making mode, actually had someone ask me to make a baby blanket for a baby shower, and I don't have the blanket with me, but I will put a picture in to show you what it looks like. And for that I used Burnett baby blanket, and that's this like a chenille kind of real soft fabric yarn, which is, it's all acrylic. So I'll show you that. And again, it was the same pattern that my go-to pattern for an Afghan, for just a simple Afghan, was just half double crochet across, and then I put a shell border around, as you'll see, in a different color. And that one too was real quick. Just crank those blankets right out. So that's my second finished object. Let me get my next one. Hold on. Okay, moving right along here. I feel like I'm talking very fast. I made a pair of socks. Always have a pair of socks going. But guess what? I don't have one on the needles. I don't have a pair of socks on my needles, and it's really bothering me. So as soon as I finish this podcast, I'm going to run and cast on some socks, because it's not right that I don't have any on. But these are the ones I finished, the last pair that I finished. Cute, right? Just a standard sock that I made them shorties, but I think the next pair I make, I'm going to make a little bit of a leg, for now it's getting a little cooler. And I just have to choose which yarn I'm going to use from my stash to make the socks. But yeah, I like the yarn. I don't know which kind, where it came from. It was one of the little balls that I wind up with after I make a pair of socks. There's always leftover. But this is cool yarn. It's got yellows and purples. And then the heels and toes, I think, are from Knit Picks, some kind of Knit Picks. They do have a little bit of sparkle. I don't know if you can see. Probably not. But yeah. So that's my monthly socks, weekly socks, whatever you want to call them. But my latest pair. How about that? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is another finished object, and it is a little sweater that I made for my grandson. I made a sweater. I'm so excited that I made and completed. I've made sweaters before, but not recently, And I like the way this came out. This is the Flax pattern by Tin Can Knits. It's a free downloadable on Instagram, on Ravelry, and it really came out cute. And I also attached this little tag, these little leather tags that I bought probably a couple of years ago. Don't remember where. Of course, I don't have the information at hand, but I will put it in the show notes of where these buttons came from, but they're really cute. Everything that I talk about that I feel that you might want to know about, I'll put in the show notes below, so you can find the information if you want to. Okay, so after my experience with my beginner raglan sweater, I vowed never to make another sweater, but I just wanted, it wasn't going to conquer me. I knew I could do it. I did have a little problem with this one too. It didn't go just smoothly, but I think I learned a lot too from making this. The directions are pretty clear. There's no short row shaping or anything like that, so it's pretty simple sweater. This is for my grandson Jackson, and I brought it over to him to try on. This is not what the original sweater looked like, the neckline. I'll show you a picture of Jackson wearing the sweater before I modified it, and the neckline just fell off his shoulders. And I don't know why that happened, but I was very disappointed, and I knew that even if he grew, he wasn't going to grow into that neckline. So when I got home, as soon as I got home from trying the sweater on him, I just picked up along the neckline, picked up stitches along the neckline, and added another couple of rows of ribbing, and that closed up the neckline. And I think it'll fit him very well now. I haven't had a chance to bring it to him yet, but I love this yarn. It's so colorful and cute for a little kid. And of course the flax, one of the nice details of the flax is this garter stitch insert along the sleeves, and that's what I like about the flax. Yeah, so that's Jackson's sweater. The problem I had, and now that I'm thinking about it, is picking up for the sleeves. And there's a lot of repair, a lot of behind the scenes, underneath the hood going on in this sweater. A lot of stitching up to make the underarm not have any holes. But again, it was interesting because I went back and read the pattern, and I didn't notice this before, but in the pattern it says you will wind up with a gap, but you will have to sew up later. I never even saw that in the pattern when I originally read it and was working on the sweater, and that's why I was freaking out, because I had this gap under the arm. But apparently that's okay, and Tin Can Knits said just go back and sew it up. So I guess I didn't do so bad after all. Okay, so the yarn is Hobby Lobby's yarn, and it's called and it's the I Love This yarn. This is called Navy Tweed, the color. It's really cute. It's really nice for a little kid or for a big kid. It's very, very soft. I washed this and it came out really well. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think I had to go down a needle size when I started knitting this, and I don't remember, but again, you can look up the pattern, and I'm sure a lot of people have made the flax. So I'm proud of this finished object. I can't talk today. All right, I think that's it for finished objects, yeah. So if I take a breath, relax, we'll move on to works in progress. Okay, so I was so thrilled that I finished Jackson's sweater. Not perfectly, but I finished it, and it's probably wearable, that I decided I'm going to make one for myself. So I cast on a flax sweater for myself. And I've gotten pretty far with it. And this is the sweater. And I finished the body. And interestingly enough, I didn't have that boat neck collar for me. This collar came out perfectly. I don't know why, but maybe I learned something from Jackson's sweater. I certainly did. But the flax is, it's a great beginner sweater, and I still consider myself a beginner sweater knitter. And I don't know if I'll ever move from that. But yeah, so I'm really pleased with this. Now, of course, I'm on the sleeves, and I'm just doing one at a time. And here's that little gap, which Tin Can Knit says it's okay to have. I think that's the reason I started other projects, because everybody hates to do sleeves. I don't know, they're kind of boring. But I am, now that I'm looking at this, because I had it kind of tucked away for a little bit, and it's kind of chilly, so I'm kind of getting excited. I think I will, after I cast on my socks, immediately after I finish this podcast, I'm going to then start working on my sleeves, maybe. Yeah. I like the yarn. It is Barocco Vintage, and I don't know what the color name is, but it's color number 5172, and it's a heather. You can see the different colors in there, and I like Barocco Vintage, especially for a sweater. If you have to buy 5-6 skeins of yarn, it's quite inexpensive actually. So this skein was only $8.50. Really reasonable. It's washable, very soft. It does have wool in it. I think it's 40% wool. Yeah, so I think it fits the bill quite nicely, and I like it. The other thing I like about the Barocco Vintage, now this is worsted weight. It comes in DK. The variety of colors too. They do have heathers. They have solids, and that's what I like about it too. There's just such a nice variety of color. So the price is right. You can get probably find the color that you like. Yeah, I'm a fan of Barocco Vintage. So that's my sweater, and I don't know. I don't think there's anything else to say about it. Maybe next time I'll wear it. By the time I podcast next time, I'll have my new socks on and my sweater. Okay, deal? Okay. Okay, my next work in progress is an oldie but goodie, and I say that because this was one of the first shawls I ever made when I went back to knitting a few years ago. and I made several of them, gave away quite a few, and I decided I was going to revisit it, and I wanted to make it again. And it's the Saroyan, which I'm sure a lot of people have made over the years. It's a really nice pattern. It's a paid for pattern, I'm pretty sure. When I went to buy my sweater yarn, I, of course, had to pick up some other, I was attracted by some other colorful yarn. And from my local yarn shop, which is Woolbearers in Mount Holly, New Jersey. It's a great yarn shop. If you're in the area, go visit Myra. You will be pleased. You will not be disappointed. One of the things, the instructions for the Saroyan are, if I'm saying that right, are great. She includes charts, but as you can see, the chart is very small. It's, and also she includes written directions, which is good. So I like to work from a chart, and when I remember when I first started knitting, I wasn't quite familiar with the symbols and how to read the symbols. So this was years ago. I made my own chart and just wrote out different symbols for things so that I could understand it. And of course I increased the size so I could see it more easily. And I was surprised that I was able to find the chart on my computer. I'm glad I saved it. I had made row counter check-offs, so that was good. It was very helpful when making this pattern because, you work it in different sections and to keep track of the rows and the different patterns. It's quite helpful to have a row counter check-off. And I found that too on my computer, so I was glad I did that. But the yarn, oh, hold on a second, I have to go get the yarn. This is the yarn, and this is Malabrigo, Rios, and it says 886 Diana. I'm assuming that's the color. But look at this, doesn't this, it just makes me smile. All the color in here makes me very happy. And that's why as soon as I got home, I had to cast something on. And I thought about the Saroyan and decided that would be a nice pattern for this yarn. Yeah. So this is how far I've gotten with my Saroyan. Oh, and who's this by? This is designed by Liz Abinante, which I'm sure you're all familiar with this scarf. But this is how it looks in this color. And if you can see the leaves edges. It's kind of hard to show that. But that's the Saroyan. It has the leaf edge along one side. And, you do an increased section, then you do a straight section, and then you do a decreased section. And this is curling up, but, yeah, this makes me happy when I'm knitting with it. I love the colors. Nice for the fall. I can't wait till I finish it and wear it. Maybe on the next podcast on top of my sweater with my socks. Yeah, so that's my Saroyan, and that's my next work in progress. Okay. My final work in progress is, well, let me tell you first. You know how when you go on Instagram, you are enticed by, yarn dyers and designers and your knitting friends who are making the designs with the yarn from the yarn dyers. I had seen, and well, I follow this person on Instagram, and two persons actually, and that's Tin Can Knits. And I just saw on Instagram that Tin Can Knits just broke 100,000 followers on Instagram. Can you imagine? But they just put out a book, which I saw the book. I guess they were advertising it themselves, and it just looked so beautiful. And I wanted a copy of it, but you couldn't order it. You had to find it in a yarn store. You can order and download a copy of the ebook on their Ravelry page, their Ravelry design page, but I wanted the hard copy. And the Woolbearers, which is my local yarn shop, Myra had posted that she had gotten in this book, and it's called Strange Brew. And it's called, subtitled, A Colorwork Knitting Adventure. And as you can see, it's all different color works. And it's more sort of like a recipe book. And what they say, it's a recipe for a colorwork yoke sweater knit bottom up or top down in 3 gauges and 25 styles. So, yeah, that's the nice thing about Tin Can Knits. They include sizes from 0 to 6 months up to men's 4XL. And what's nice about this book also is they also include amounts and stitch counts for 3 different weights of yarn: Aran, DK, and sock weight. So whatever sweater you decide to make, if you want to make it in DK or Aran or a sock weight, they give you all the amounts that you need to make the sweater. They also include charts for different patterns. Yeah, so it's a beautiful book. It really is. There's hats. So one of the things they suggest, they of course tell you that it's absolutely pretty much necessary for you to do a gauge swatch if you're making a sweater and you want the sweater to fit. But if you hate doing that, they suggest making a hat and you know, seeing what your gauge is with a hat. And they also have a pattern in here for a cowl. Or if you're doing a bottom-up sweater, they say do the sleeve and see what your gauge is with the sleeve. Yeah, so the book is really, it's just a great book, and the patterns are beautiful. So I went and got the book and browsed through it, and immediately I wanted to try it. I've done color work before, a little bit. I think last time I showed you I did a little hat with llamas around it. I wasn't happy with the way the tension was, but I mean, I don't have a problem working with 2 yarns because I am a continental knitter, and I can also, I'm also a thrower if I have to. So I don't have a problem working with 2 strands of yarn in my, both hands. That's not a problem for me. So anyway, I decided I would do the cowl. And again, it's sort of like a general recipe kind of thing. They do tell you how many stitches to cast on. They tell you what size needle they suggest. As far as how to do the stranded color work, actual instructions on, if you've never done it before, they don't really include here's how to do stranded color work. I guess they assume that you know how. They give you tips about tension and stuff like that. The nice thing about this is they include a download code, so you can have once you pay for the book, you can also download the e-copy, and that's what I did that also. And then if you want to print out individual copies, and so that you have a paper copy to work on and write on and whatever, you can do that. There's also links to tutorials, to their website. So there's a lot of information, and I think it's really well worth it. But yeah, so this is, I started the cowl. I think one of the most difficult things I have a problem with is choosing colors, because I'm not an experienced color work knitter, and I think that's so important to choose the right colors so that the background is enough of a contrast with the pattern to make it stand out. So this is, I'm doing my best here, and it's just really, this is sort of my practice piece, which I'm sure I will get use out of. The yarn is just stuff I had in my stash because I'm just really practicing with this and hoping that it'll turn out. I'm not sure about the tension. I think I'm doing okay with the tension. I think my floats are pretty good. I don't think they're too tight, so I'm hoping that this comes out okay. I don't know if I would be able to do, I don't know if I don't have enough confidence as of yet to try another sweater with color work. And I've seen so many people on Instagram with all their color work sweaters, and they make it seem so easy. And I don't know if I would have that easy of a time yet. Still learning how to do the flax. So, which I probably could put some color work in that if I learn enough from the book on how to do that. So anyway, this is my little cowl, and it's going to have a couple of more colors. It's going to be pretty tall, and then these two will repeat at the end again. So I have to pick like a couple of more patterns to put in between, and then I'll finish off with these two. I think I would prefer to have some kind of an identifiable pattern, like maybe a bird or a flower. These are kind of just geometric designs which I guess is kind of good if you're a beginner, because who's going to know if it's right or wrong, right? Like this one doesn't really, what is that supposed to be? And I don't know if it's because I chose the wrong background, the wrong contrasting color to go with that background. Like this one comes, seems to be more pronounced, and so does this one. So those are things I'm going to be learning along the way as far as color choices and things like that. One of the things I found helpful in doing this, though, is putting stitch markers around to delineate each repeat around, so that I don't have to keep going back and counting. So that was a good thing that I did. So I think that's it for my knitting, and I think I'm going to, I have wool and hair, and this, if you're interested in what I'm knitting, and I'm touching the microphone here, but this is a scarf I made for last year and the year before in April for my son Joe's birthday. In case you're a new viewer and don't know, Joey's scarf is named after my son who passed away 7 years ago. It'll be 7 years December 5th, and he had colon cancer. So that's why I decided to do the podcast and name it in honor of Joe. So annually on his birthday, which is April 4th, I have been doing a knit-along for his birthday. And I think this was the first year that I did it, and it's just a cowl. This pattern it's the basket weave pattern, and it's just sock yarn, and I just knit it long, straight, and then I just sewed the ends together. But it's really pretty, isn't it? The scarf that the podcast is named after was a scarf that I had made for Joe, and it was the basket weave pattern, so that's why I chose to do this for our knit along. And I am definitely going to be doing Joey's scarf knit along again in around his birthday will be the end of the knit along, so probably announce it around February maybe. And I'm thinking about finding one of my friendly indie dyers to create a custom color for me for Joe. So, but that's in the future. So right now, I think I'm going to go get my co-host, and we're going to talk about the contest that we had last time, and we're going to announce the winner, and I'm going to tell you about the new thing that I want to do for my Ravelry group, and get a little bit of Ross time. So be right back. Okay, you comfortable? Got your microphone on?
I have my microphone on.
Okay. So here we are.
A week later.
No, it's been 3 weeks since we podcast last.
3 weeks later.
And you're watching the second half of Joey's scarf. I'm going to call it the second half.
Okay.
And as I introduced myself in the first half, I'm Linda, and this is Ross. And we're husband and wife. And he's my co-host, my second half of the podcast co-host.
And husband.
I said husband.
Well, that was first before you added everything else they could have forgotten already.
Okay.
I know the crowd out there.
You know the crowd out there. So one of the things we did last podcast was we were talking about this little trip that we were potentially going to take.
And we mentioned it to everybody and gave them a little quiz, which there were how many respondents?
We had 17.
Whoa. I hope they all got it right.
All 17
All
got
good.
it right.
Good. I could have given them the page to find it on, but they may not get this magazine.
What magazine is that?
This was Hudson Valley. This is Hudson Valley Magazine. You probably see it if you stay in a hotel or motel in the Hudson Valley. But I subscribe to this one and also one for New Jersey. And they have all kinds of interesting trips and weekends, and, you know, you may have seen this before. Touting another valley. Who knows? But anyhow, we wound up reading this article, Costume and Custom. And it's about the home that Frederick Church built, who might be considered the father of the Hudson River School of Painting. He built it in 1850, from 1850-53 to 1865. So it was really kind of interesting. And the home is a castle in Hudson, New York, overlooking a really vast area of the Hudson River, where there's a lot of marshland and little pools here and there. As a matter of fact, the house was built on 50 or so. How many acres of property was that?
That I don't know.
It was huge. He had his own quarries there, just to quarry the stone. And we went on the trip.
Right. So you found the article in this magazine and you said, sounds like an interesting place. And have you seen the castle when you're driving by? Is that what made you
I've
think
seen the
about it?
castle. I know people who have gone there before the state of New York got a hold of it and improved it 1,000%. It was a ramshackled old stone building. It's now almost to its original glory. All of the accoutrement,
Everything in the house is original to the house.
Original to the house and
china,
family.
the furniture, anything that's in the house was original to the house. Now,
with the exception of things that were purchased in Africa.
Well, yeah, but they had that.
They
They had the
yeah.
stuff in the house.
Right, it was all in the house.
So last podcast, we were telling everyone that we were thinking about going to visit the castle, and we asked, we told you the name of it, and we asked you to, in the comments, to tell us what you thought we said the name was. And the name of the castle is the Olana Historical, it's the Olana State Historic Site in Hudson, New York. So 17 of you, I had a few more comments than that, but 17 of you decided to participate, and we chose a winner.
Ta-da!
And it's here somewhere. I did a random number generator, and I'll let you do the honors of announcing the winner.
The winner is, in no special order, B, B, B-E-E, comma, B.
Right. So BB, you won, and hopefully you will see this podcast. I don't know if I can get in touch with you through YouTube. If I can, I will try. Otherwise, you can get in touch with me on Instagram. I'm Linda Grace, or on Ravelry. I'm Linda Grace. You can send me a note, and I'm going to send something nice to you. So thank everybody for participating. And we did go, and I'm going to put some pictures in and some video to show you what the site looks like, and the leaves, we went at the perfect time.
They were magnificent. We were concerned about the leaves falling early, especially up there. You don't know from night to night what's going to happen with the temperature. And we stayed overnight so that we could get the first tour in the morning. And we were very lucky because we were the only people to get the first tour in the morning. So we had a docent who walked along with us and told us all about all the items that were in there. Yeah, magnificent. The front lawn going up is I guess it's about 200 yards, easily 2 football fields in length, and very steep for a car. Yeah. There were some very modern-ish pieces of art, stabiles and such out on the lawn. I don't know if there's a special name for that or not. But it was a glorious day, just spectacular.
This place, it's not in the Catskill Mountains, is it?
If you want to bring in the Catskills, you can say the foothills of the Catskills.
The Catskills, okay.
The short Catskills.
Is that what they call it? The short skills?
The short skills, that's it.
The kitten skills.
Kitten skills, that's it.
Yeah, so it took us about 3 hours. We had perfect weather to drive, no traffic. We zoomed up and we had a good time. We had a
good time.
Nice time.
As I said, the leaves were fantastic.
Yeah, the leaves were perfect.
It was peak, just peak. And now I will gladly take on the title of leaf peeper. Look that one up. Is it leaf peeker?
No, it's
or leaf peeper? Don't
leaf.
tell them. Let them find out for
Are
themselves.
this going to be the contest?
If you want it to be, or do we have something more contestable?
No, that's good. So this week's contest is it the correct term, leaf peeper?
Or leaf peeker?
Now, there might not be a right answer to that question.
But you're going to have to verify the spelling.
So yeah, leave a comment and participate. We have a lot of fun doing that. Yeah. Okay, so I was a little interested in the historic house. I thought I was going to be seeing this grand castle, which kind of it was. I mean, I thought I was going to be seeing like a medieval stone.
It looked so much more modern.
Game of Thrones kind of.
Yeah, well, it was inside, very much so.
But it wasn't. It was plaster walls and stuff inside.
They were methods of plastering using different materials. They had what's his name? I keep saying Church had developed this way of plastering that required certain stone, and the property that this was on had it. So he had a quarry. He had his own quarry to quarry his stone, both the specialized rock and just the normal bricks and things that you would find further along in the Hudson. The Hudson being a huge transport location for bricks, stones, and quarry stones up and down the Hudson. So it was right in the right spot for it all.
Anyway, Mr. History.
The history was great. I loved the history because with each year that went by, this thing started taking shape in 1853, right? Mm-hmm. And if you just pardon me, if you just followed along with the history, you know it's 1900. There's World War I. They fixed this during the Spanish-American War. There was nothing having to do with knitting except there was a little frock of some type with 2 knitting needles that was put down on a table or an occasional table of some type.
Like a child's little sweater
practice
or something, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, those of you who are still with us. Okay, so in that area, that area is also the area that happens to be where the New York Sheep and Wool Festival is held, which is Rhinebeck, New York. Now, we were like 2 weeks...
2 weeks too late.
Too late to go to the festival. But I still wanted to go into the town of Rhinebeck because, of course, I watch all of the Insta stories of people going to Rhinebeck, and they all talk about this one store in town called the Knitting Garage. Can you hand me that bag? Yes, it's called the Knitting Garage. And it's kind of a unique store because it's actually a vintage variety store, or 5 and 10. And it still
has all
of the stuff that a variety store would have. Souvenirs, little knickknacks.
It had a foxtail brush. I picked it up twice and didn't buy it.
Why?
I was just ensconced in the beauty of the brushes. I have been looking for a foxtail brush for ages. I guess I have to wait until the next time.
To brush your hair?
No, it's
to do what?
Reach under the refrigerator.
Oh, we don't want to do that.
Well, unfortunately, it's a big foxtail brush, so we wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, so I had heard about the Knitting Garage, and when we walked in, I thought, this does not look like a knitting store. They did have some yarn up front, and it was sort of like the commercial kind of yarns that you might find. And then I heard somebody ask about, is there more yarn? And they said, no, it's in the back of the store. So you go through the store all the way to the back, and in the back there's a room, which is actually the knitting garage. Yeah. So I was, of course, that was my favorite thing. And the owner of the knitting garage was not there.
Can people hear you while you're... What is that?
That's a little brochure.
What's it? You never can tell. This is the brochure. I forgot to buy stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so the owner of the store also dyes yarn, and I'm sorry I don't know her name. I think you can follow her on Instagram. She's under the name of the Knitting Garage, but I bought 2 skeins of DK weight, which would make a nice hat. And this is 85% superwash merino and 15% bigs of color woven into the piles, is what she says. And then I love this color. Those were my souvenirs from our trip. We also went on the grounds of the I think it's the State Fair. I don't know if that's the State Fair or not.
Yeah, that's where
Rhinebeck.
That is Rhinebeck.
Where the Sheep and Wool Festival is, and it was kind of neat to see it empty. Just no.
We had
one
no
around.
problems getting a parking spot. We got one close up to everything.
Yeah. So I have a few pictures of us in Rhinebeck. We were the only 2 there.
If you want to see it empty.
Yeah.
Where do you have that posted?
I'm going to post it on here once I edit the video.
All right.
So we announced the winner, BB, BEE, space B, and
comma space B.
No, I think I put that comma. Or maybe it is a comma. I don't know. She knows who she is. Let's see. Oh, so earlier I talked about this new special little project that I want to do, and you were giving me some ideas about it. Okay, I have to explain. I don't know. I can't actually call myself a writer. I haven't.
It's because you always stop in the middle of the story.
I mean, I don't consider myself a writer, but I do like to write. How about that? Is that kind of...
She starts out with magnificent plots and then hangs you right there.
Anyway, I have a blog, and it's called Linda Grace, An Hour Away. Mostly, I haven't written there in quite a while. It was my lifesaver when Joe was ill. It just helped me to get out the emotion of going through that kind of thing. And after he passed away, it continued to help to support, my emotional health. But I guess knitting has kind of taken over, and this podcast has kind of taken over that function. But I still like to write, and there are some. A lot of it is personal blogging about what I was going through, or just daily little things that I was doing. But I do have some pieces of fiction on there, some that I never finished. So anyway, to make a long story short, I thought of this idea. So I thought it would be a cool thing. I changed my glasses.
You snuck those in there.
Yeah, these
for
no
Pete's
glare.
sake, that could have been a contest.
Anyway.
Do you notice anything different now?
Now these are going to pop up. So this is what I thought. I thought we could have... Now, I'm of the opinion that everyone is a writer. Everyone has a story. Everyone can tell a story. And you'd be surprised once you get that pen in your hand or that keyboard below your fingers, if you just sit and just kind of type what you're thinking. I'm sure you've all told your children stories. So I think that everyone is a storyteller and has a story to tell. Unfortunately for me, I can start a story, I can continue a story, but I always have a problem ending it. Can never find the right ending. So I thought it would be a neat idea if we had a round robin, and I would start a story and say I would like to have at least 10 of us participating. I think that would be a good number.
Sounds like a good number.
Yeah, because I don't know if it would work if it were less than that. So if we get 10 people to do this, I would start a story, and I would do a round robin. And so I would start the story. I think it should be probably between, each person can write like 100 to 250 words. So the beginning of the story would be about 100 to 250 words. I would send my part of the story to the next person, and that person would continue the story, and then he or she would send it on to the next person, and I will tell you who your partner is. And then you can include, it would be nice to include, since it is the holiday season, a little something for the next person who you're sending the story to. The dates, what did I say the dates would be? I figure starting November 15th and going to February 1st. So that should be enough time for us to all contribute. And then the last person is going to send the story back to me, all of the pieces, and I will bind it, and I will send a copy to all the participants of our story.
Going to bind it?
Well, I'll take it to Staples and have it bound. I'm not going to publish it, no.
Okay, no. Okay.
So these are the parameters. The story is going to be knitting relatable or crafty relatable. It's going to be holiday or winter theme. That's going to be the theme. It's going to have a knitting theme, a winter theme. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a mysterious plot to it. What do you think? And,
okay.
We're going to have a couple of characters, and I'd love to know what you think about this idea. I think it's something different, and I'd love to have you participate. Within the next day or two, say, what's today, Monday? Say by Friday, I will have this set up in Ravelry, and I'll have a thread set up where you can sign up.
Sounds good to me.
I'll have the details in there. And at the end, we'll have a story, and we'll have a book, and everybody will get a little gift for the holidays. And what do you think? Do you think that sounds like a good idea?
Sounds good to me.
You can't participate.
I won't participate.
Unless you want to.
It's okay. I'm part of the company here, so
so you can't. It wouldn't be fair.
That wouldn't be fair at all.
All right. So you have anything else you want to say?
No, that's about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to pick myself up and.
Well, we can say adios, goodbye.
Okay, adios, goodbye. I think I dropped something.
Where are you going?
I dropped something on the floor.
So this
this is there it is.
You picked up a little brochure from
yeah.
You know what I thought was funny?
What?
The hotel that we stayed with the horrible breakfast. They didn't have now that it was about 5 miles from Olana, right?
19 miles.
No, it wasn't that. No, we stayed closer than that. Because remember, I was looking at hotels, and I said, "Oh, this one's about 8 or 9 miles away.
That was another one.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, it was still, even 19 miles was still close enough that you would think that the hotel would know what we know about.
They had a box with brochures.
They didn't have
as a lot of, but they didn't have anything.
We asked about this, and the young woman behind the counter was like, "Huh?"
She wasn't from the area, and she'd just gotten. She is new, so that's why I didn't have her fired immediately. No, she was trying very hard, but didn't have the info.
All right, so until I think that's about it.
Until next time.
I don't know.
I'm going to take off here.
Huh?
I'm going to take off now.
No, you have to say goodbye.
Oh, we have to say goodbye.
This is it. We're done.
Oh, good.
Okay, so until next time, bye-bye.
So long.